soy wax. I really reckon I might just keep it in the bag. I think this could work. I'm sure there's an easy way of like. Okay guys, so the two wax melts that we're going to be working with today is cashmere plums and snow angels. Now we've already got one cashmere plums, but we've got no snow angels whatsoever. So I've gone ahead and got the clamshells out and ready. So cashmere plums, I think that's what we're going to be working with first of all. So let's get those prepped and ready to go. Come on. Mixing tool, scales. I've got like a mini silicone sort of cup to pour the fragrance oil into. I've got a cloth because why not, just in case. I never really measure it out first, I measure it out after. Right, let's get this onto the pot. You're coming too. Let's go. That might be a little bit too warm, so I'm actually just going to turn this down. So that's the first one. The second one, as you can see, isn't as warm, but there is a bit of heat on there, so I'm going to stick that in there. And that will just help keep this jug warm, whilst this one will be melting. So let's leave that to melt. I've gone ahead and added a few more pellets to the already melted wax. Let's go and weigh out the fragrance oil. So firstly we need to work out actually how much fragrance oil we need. So for the cashmere plums, I'm making 3 clamshells, and each clamshell holds 75 grams worth of content, let's say, for purposes of this video. So then we need to figure out how much fragrance content we're putting into this. For cashmere plums, I use 8%. 8% of 75 is 6 grams. So at 8%, I'm going to use 6 grams of fragrance oil, and I'm going to use 69 grams of wax. Okay, but because we're doing 3, I need to times 6 grams by 3, which is 18 grams of fragrance oil altogether, so that's a total. And then I need to then weigh out 207 grams of wax. Now I hope that makes sense. So we pop this onto the scales before we turn it on, because we don't want to weigh the actual container. Pop that on. So we said for cashmere plums we are going in at 18 grams of fragrance oil. Now a little trick so that your fragrance oil doesn't get anywhere. Number one, I've got a cloth here. But number 2, you can use a stick to help you to pour, and this will help you pour directly into the jug. Oh, 18.4, and you know what, that's fine. 18.8. That's fine. So that's that one. and then we're going to go ahead and see how our wax is doing. As you can see here, the wax is almost melted, but also our jug at the back is keeping nice and warm. Now, if you didn't prep your jug, so if you didn't clean it out from the last time you used it, this is a perfect time to do that. So I'm going to go ahead, take my jug out and give it a quick wipe. And it gets all of the old wax and fragrance oil out of the bottom of the jug. It's nice and warm actually, which is good, because we want it to be warm. We don't want the temperature to drop significantly the moment we pour the wax in there. Especially because we're working with a small amount of wax, we need to be really careful with the temperature control. So I'm going to get my thermometer and just check the temperature of that wax. 66.5. .6, whereas if it wasn't on the heat, I have a feeling that jug would be completely cold. So we're going to wait for that to finish melting. We're almost there. Then we're just going to prep my other set of scales, which is just up here, and that's the scale that we will use to measure out our wax. I'm also bringing over some of my mica powders, and I've got some dye chips in here as well. So I'm going to keep these at hand because they need to be added not too long after you've poured the wax into your jug. Okay, that wax is pretty much melted now. I'm just going to quickly check the temperature so I can show you. So this is now 83. We said we wanted 207 grams of wax. So here goes. Tear. Wipe off the bottom so it doesn't fall into the wax. 207 grams. We're at 209, doesn't matter if, or 210, doesn't matter if you go slightly over, that's absolutely fine. So now that we've poured it into our jug, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what the temperature is. Now that's already dropped to 81, and that's been less than, what, 10 seconds. So at this point we can actually add our mica powders in here. And I'm going to put a piece in there. Might just put a little bit more, get a nice pinky colour. Then I'm going to add some pink mica powder. Now I'm going to keep an eye on the temperature. 76, and we're going to give that a mix. Okay. Check with your wax supplier so you know what temperature you need to add your fragrance oil in. So it's important to keep an eye on the temperature. As you can see, it's already dropped to 72, and that's been a really quick drop. Now the moment I add the fragrance oil in, it's going to drop even more, which is why it's important to try and combine the mica powder and the dye chip first. I actually did the wrong colour. I was actually meant to do cashmere plums, so we're going to quickly try and make it purple. So I'm going to add some purple in there, and hopefully that will work. I'm going to go and grab the fragrance oil now, because I think we need to add it in before the temperature drops even further. So I've added the cashmere plums in. Now I just want to, I've added that fragrance oil. I just want to show you how quickly the temperatures drop. So now we're at 63. Now can you see when you're working with a tiny amount of wax, how quickly the temperature drops? I'm going to go ahead and continue to mix, and then I'll meet you back at the table. Okay, so here we are ready to pour cashmere plums. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and prep for snow angels. So those are prepped and ready to go. Okay, let's go. I'm going to give this a quick wipe. Put it back on the heat, give it a quick wipe, and then we'll go ahead with the snow fairy. Considering the mistake that I made, that's actually not come out too badly, to be fair. But let's see what happens when it dries, because it might be too much mica or dye chips, but we'll see what it looks like once it's done. Right, let's go and do snow fairy. Now I just want to show you quickly, I've moved the one with the wax to the back pot just to maintain its temperature, because all the wax is melted. I just need the wax to stay warm, basically. I'm not trying to heat it anymore, which is why I've moved it to the back. And I popped this one on the front just so I can melt the wax in it and just give it a good clean before I go ahead and use it again. So yeah, that's keeping our already melted wax warm, and this is the one that I'm going to clean out. This is why I like using this method, because you can really keep an eye on your temperatures. If you are making a huge amount of wax melts, then I understand people like to use the Presto pot, but if you're making a small amount of wax melts, I really do recommend this method, and it's something that you could just do quite easily at home. I'm pretty sure they sell these in Hobbycraft if you live in the UK. So popping down to your local Hobbycraft, grabbing a couple of jugs, I'm pretty sure they do wax there as well. It's really easy to make wax melts from home. So let's clean this jug, and then we'll go ahead and do snow fairies. Another thing I haven't really spoken about are these cloths. Now, basically, you can use them for anything. You can use them for cleaning the jugs, which I think they're really good, and you can use them for cleaning your stirrer if you need to. You can use them to rest your spoon on, so if you don't want to get wax on your table, it's a really good item to use in terms of just resting things on. And then you just chuck them in the washing machine. So I love this, and then obviously it makes your clothes smell really nice. Might get your clothes a bit waxy, but if you like pop it in with things like I don't know, like tea towels and towels, then yeah, it's absolutely fine. I think these are really good thing to use. So anyway, this jug is already warm, so before it gets any colder, let's pop the wax in. Let me just check the temperature. 37. I might just pop it back onto the heat for a little longer. We can get our mica powders ready. So we're going to go for this one. That's our fragrance oil. No, that's not. That's the old one. That's our fragrance oil, our mica powder. And then we said we wanted a pink, didn't we? I need to somehow like figure out how to store these better. I'm sure if I get some little clear round plastic little containers, then I'm just going to get a tiny bit of, come on, throw you in there. Just going to go for a little tiny bit just to colour it ever so slightly. We don't want it too red. 202.5 grams of wax, so let's pop that on. Check the temperature of our wax, 83. So the one at the back's kept a consistent temperature. So we want 202.5. I might not be able to get the 0.5 on this scale. If I get 203, that's also fine. Okay, 204, that's fine. And then I'm going to pop this back on the back. I'm going to check the temperature. Already dropped to 81. At this point we're going to add our, I don't know if you can see, we're going to add our dye chip, and we're going to add our mica powder in. The correct colour this time. And just so it's a bit more shimmery, I'm going to add a silver mica powder to this as well. We're going to give a quick I feel like it's so much fragrance oil. Now we're just going to go ahead and mix up for 2 minutes. Now let's quickly just check the temperature of that. Now that we've added the fragrance oil, significant drop already. So this is what I mean when you're working with small amounts of wax. It's really important to keep an eye on the temperatures because it can drop quite low quite quickly. So I'm going to go ahead, finish mixing that, and then I'll meet you back at the table. I think I want it just a tiny bit lower. Let's say late 50s, even 60 will do. So I'm going to leave it for a little bit, and then if you can see, cashmere plums, they're already starting to yeah, they're already starting to sort of set, which is good. So yeah, snow angel, I keep calling it different names. It's actually snow angel. Perfect. These are set. Ooh. Lovely. Should we close them up and see what they look like? Come on. still warm. I think I'm going to leave it for a bit longer. But that's what that looks like. And if you have a look here, you can really see I'm going to compare this to the other cashmere plums that I've got. Not too far off the colour, to be fair. This has more of a deeper purple, which is really, really nice, but we used the wrong one initially in here, didn't we? So, and then have I got another snow? I don't think. Oh, yes I do. No I don't. Yes I do. This is the other snow. It's a lot lighter than I anticipated, which definitely matches the label. So yeah, the colouring is off, but you know, the thing about making your own wax melts is that I could just design a label to go on this, but I definitely prefer this one. But it's not hard to redesign a label to go on here anyway, so yeah, happy with that.